Welcome, everyone, to Music Junkies, a podcast about people sharing extraordinary stories about how music has impacted their lives.
Welcome, everyone, to Music Junkies. I am your host today, Annette Smith, and we actually have a co-host, T-Bone. He's not going to show himself in the camera. He's nervous. That's okay. But our guest today is the great, my friend, Jaret.
Yeah.
Right? Devoted husband.
True story.
Right? True story, right? Father of 3 angels or nightmares. We're not quite sure.
It all depends on which way the wind blows.
Right? What day? And then ex-underwear model.
I thought you were going to say I had an ex-wife or something. I don't remember that part. I do remember the underwear modeling part. Yeah.
So before we get started and we go through your playlist, I wanted to just ask you, what was your experience about, obviously, putting the songs together, creating that playlist for me? How was that experience for you?
I think everyone should do that from time to time. In fact, I probably could have kept going if you asked for a longer list, and it was, I would say, rewarding in a strange way, because I got to be able to reflect back and see what literally shaped the way I think today, but how certainly I thought in that moment, and where some of that, sometimes the song shapes the thought, and sometimes the thought, you find the music to support what you're thinking.
Yeah.
And it was amazing how much influence. I'm like a huge music junkie, so to speak, but it's amazing how much music influences your life.
Absolutely.
I was surprised by that.
And I love asking this question in the beginning, because this is actually my favorite part of doing this podcast.
Yeah.
Because I love how people get to go back and search their memories. Sometimes they're having a challenge putting the playlist together. I love that people love all kinds of music. And because most of the people, well, all of the people that I'm talking to are my friends, it actually shows me why I'm friends with them as well, right? By their playlist.
Or maybe
right?
why you shouldn't be friends.
Yes. I've had a couple of those where I was like, wow, I did not expect those songs at all, right? At all. So I wanted to ask you, what were you like growing up in high school? You played sports, right?
Yeah. But the first word that comes to mind was quiet.
Oh.
Yeah. Shy would be the second word. Yeah. In high school, I was often consumed with what other people might think of me, so I decided to not really say much so as not to make myself look like a fool, just in case.
Yeah.
Right? Which is sad, really, in a lot of ways. I mean, still had my group of friends I was super comfortable with, but overall I was a little more on the quiet side.
Did you look like what you look like now in high school?
Less facial hair. Yeah. So
you were a hot, shy guy. You were must have been really hard for the ladies to talk to you because you're a hot, shy guy. So that's a challenge for a woman. I don't know if you know this or not, but if they're, a guy's all reserved and it's so I'm sure you're okay with the ladies, so.
It wasn't, no, I wasn't, because I never really made any move whatsoever unless I knew it was a sure thing. Because my fragile sense of self-worth would not allow me to get shot down. Really.
Yeah,
So
wow.
if I knew it was a sure thing, then I'm the man. If I heard through the grapevine and someone told me and I got the note.
You guys passed some notes
exactly.
around.
Then I was sure, then I'd make my move.
I like
so
it.
I wasn't going to fail. If there's a chance of striking out, I'm like, no, not
going to do
not
it.
for me.
I'm going to wait for my note.
Yeah.
So we're going to start with the first song, and I absolutely love that you love Kenny Rogers. How can you not, right?
Right.
So what is one of the reasons why you love that song?
Coward of the County, I believe, and this is really why I love country music. I mean, that's probably the theme throughout most of my list, but because there's a story.
Yeah.
Right? There's the kind of the beginning, middle, and the end type of thing, and that is one of those songs where it's not just the story, but the lesson in there that I still believe to some extent I'd be able to take with me today. Like, you're supposed to be humble and kind, to steal Tim McGraw's song, but that's what this song's about, being humble and kind. And then, you know, at the end of the day, you gotta be the man. As in, sometimes you gotta do the hard thing, the tough thing, the thing that's the mean thing, whatever it happens to be, in order to protect what you think is right.
Yeah.
And I love that. In a song, like, that's pretty cool. You can kind of get those life lessons out of that. And it was also one of the early songs, there's probably a couple in there that automatically make me think of my dad's Grand Marquis, cruising home from, you know, I stayed late at work with him, right, driving home from, we lived in one town, he worked in another town, and listened to country music on the radio. It was current country back then, which is now kind of the classic country that we listen to today. And that reminds me of my dad.
I love that.
And that old car.
Yeah, I love how songs bring up memories, just obviously about good times with family, friends. That's really kind of important to me and in my life, and that's why I love music so much. But I wanted to ask you, just because obviously you were shy in school, which I find, you know, a little bit hard to believe, but now, you know, a little bit, maybe a little bit. So obviously you weren't a player, right? So did you have like long-term girlfriends in high school? Like when you started dating, were they mostly long-term girlfriends that you stayed with?
I tried.
Okay.
Yeah. But if I got another note, if I heard through the grapevine that someone else was interested, I too became interested in someone else, which was a cycle that followed me for some time in my life. There were a few longer-term relationships for sure. But,
so what was your longest relationship that you had before Melissa?
That would probably be close to a couple years.
Okay.
Yeah, university, there was a window of time where, and after university, yeah, there was about a year and a half.
Okay.
2 relationships, year and a half.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Did well?
Well, depends who you talk to on that front.
So what did you do to mess up those relationships? Or was it the
I don't
other?
like the assumption that I was the one that messed them up. Certainly one was not me.
Okay,
I can guarantee you that, and that's a very intense and long story. The other one wasn't a mess up. It was just me figuring out what I wanted.
Yeah.
And that wasn't it. Right. Which is great. It helps
make room for what you have now, right?
Yeah.
This next song I love. We actually listened to your playlist on the way to our property, listening to the song, and Tyler was like, whose playlist is this? I was like, oh, so good. Everybody knows, right?
Leonard Cohen. He's got some beauties. Canadian.
So why do you love that song so much?
That is at an age in my life where you start to realize what you hear or what you see doesn't necessarily make it factual.
Yeah.
Right? Like a bit of conspiracy theory around life in general, like the big picture. Like maybe your teachers don't know everything. Maybe your parents don't know best. Right? And you start to explore ideas and concepts that you think might make more sense or that might be better or certainly different than what you were taught, for the sake of knowledge and for the sake of bucking the system. Right. And those two things combined reminds me of, that was actually in the soundtrack of a movie called Pump Up the Volume with Christian
Oh yeah,
Stewart.
I love that movie.
And that's when I got introduced to that song. And it was just, it's hypnotic.
Yeah.
Really.
I think it's in Natural Born Killers too, isn't it? No, it's not? I thought it was. I haven't seen that movie forever. Yeah, I used to love that movie.
Yeah, which is crazy. And I remember so many scenes and that song from that movie, and it was more than a few years ago. Let's say that. 80s sometime.
Some in the 80s. So if you can be reborn again, would there be a decade that you would like to be born into?
Yeah, probably about 100 years ago.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, you take out the smallpox and polio and things like that, I think like the Wild West would have been a good place to be.
So would you be a good guy or a bad guy?
Definitely the good guy.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm like the Tom Cruise in Far and Away.
Pushing open the bar doors. Come on, ladies. I'm
Not
here.
the bar doors. That's, you're talking Top Gun or Cocktail. I'm talking Far and Away with Nicole Kidman.
Oh.
When they went from over in Europe, they came to America and they got to claim their land.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So are you kind of like a cowboy? Would you call yourself a cowboy? Like, do you ride horses?
I can ride a horse.
Okay. How good?
Not very sticky. Come off one or two in my day. But I know I grew up a little bit exposed to that.
Yeah.
Riding horses a little bit in a small town farming community. My summers at camp were always riding horses and stuff like that. So I've always loved that cowboy culture. And then I grew up on country music thanks to my dad. So those influences certainly seemed to make sense at the time, which jumping into the future, that kind of holds people back a little bit too, because you believe that where you come from is just who you are, which is really not a growth mindset. It's kind of a fixed mindset.
Yeah.
And we're always changing, we're always growing. But so I think country music in some ways held my business back in regards to some growth, because I thought being stubborn was a good thing, right? And I guess in some areas it could be, but you got to be a little bit open to some options as time goes on. That's for sure, because things change.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you talk a lot about, your family and how close you and your family are. I just want to know, who is like your favorite, your mom or your dad? If you had to pick one.
That's a tough one.
The ship was going down.
Well, it's mom, chivalry, right? And I also believe that I'm her favorite, so that helps. So I'm reciprocating in some ways as well. That's a tough question, though. Yeah, God, but now when you say it, and Dad would be okay with it.
Yeah,
So
of course he would. Because I think he probably knows that you're just saying that because you have to say that, right? We always have to say our mom. Right, she brought us into our life.
Yeah, there's a bit
right.
more of a
So I think the dads are okay with that. What was your favorite family vacation growing up?
Every year we would drive from the flatlands of Saskatchewan across Alberta into the Rocky Mountains of BC, and we'd go skiing.
Oh, nice. Where?
Panorama.
Oh, nice.
Which is about a 9-hour drive in the aforementioned Grand Marquis, which would fit 5 or 6 kids in the back seat, and the adults would sit in the front. Because I got to bring a friend, my sister got to bring a friend, and my brother was too small to bring a friend. So, for the most part, but would all cram in the back. No roof rack.
No seat belts? Probably not.
Yeah,
no.
As likely as a car seat. And Dad would fit all the skis somehow into the trunk of that thing.
Wow.
No roof rack.
In a trunk.
Yeah, and half of us had skis. Yeah.
That's impressive.
He's an impressive man. Now that looking back, but that was most memorable for sure.
I love that. That's great. Next song I'm excited about, right? I feel like we're at a convention or something.
Yeah.
Right? I Got a Feeling, Black Eyed Peas. It's a good pump up song, for sure.
And it's certainly out of my wheelhouse of
Yeah.
songs, but when I started thinking back of, what songs were impactful, when you hear them, or when you think of a moment, what do you think of? We got married, and we had a live band. And that was really important to my wife. She's a big music buff. And we chose the live band, and from that live band, they're like, hey, we have some friends, they might be playing nearby. And we went from like a 4 or 5 piece band to all of a sudden these musicians were rolling in the door for our wedding, not for the wedding, but for the reception and the party after. So the live music is next level, right? All of our friends at this wedding, my wife never left the dance floor. Like there were like 5 hours on the dance floor. And this was one of the songs where it's like everybody was out there. And the live band were like, they had trumpets and saxophones. And
wow.
They had friends coming. All of a sudden the band was like 8, 9 people. And this song came on and they crushed it. I can't remember the name of the band. Unfortunately, I'd love to give them credit right now. But they were so talented. And the energy in that place, in that moment, and with that song was very memorable. That's why.
I love it. It's such a great song, and yeah, I got a feeling. Great song.
Yeah.
When I know earlier we were talking today about concerts, and I know you mentioned Garth Brooks. Was that one of your favorite concerts, or was there another concert that you've been to that really kind of stood out to you that was very memorable?
That by far would be number one.
It's amazing how many people that I have interviewed on this podcast that have said Garth Brooks. And then the flip side of that is Garth Brooks has none of his music on Spotify at all.
This is true, because Garth believes that no song is worth just a song on its own. You have to have the whole album.
Oh, I did not know that.
That's his call. Yeah. And he could do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I heard he has a podcast too, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Have you listened to it?
I've little pieces of it. He's got a little piece on Netflix as well.
Mm-hmm.
He's an interesting guy.
Yeah. Is that one of your favorite concerts though?
Yeah. So there was his concert, like the big concert, the big show, the popping out of the stage type of concert. He's running around like an entertainer, and you feel how authentic it is. Nobody, I guess, would really know, but I would say it's pretty authentic. His appreciation and gratitude for his fans, because he'd bring it like no other.
I heard he gives back a lot.
He
gives back.
He seems like that type of guy. Then I went down to Las Vegas and saw him at the Wynn in a very, very small venue where he goes through all the different musical influences of his life, and he shares a story, and half of it's just talking and joking around, and half of it's playing music, and not just his music.
Yeah.
You could tell he pulled his Wranglers out of a duffel bag. They're all wrinkled. He's got this hoodie on. Like, he just flew in on the jet that the Wynn paid for to put on this show. Once every weekend, he did that for years. But it was a phenomenal show, partially because of the stories and the history behind the music. Right?
So if you could be any singer, would you be Garth Brooks, or do you got another kind of man crush going on?
You know what? I do have.
I knew you'd have a man crush. I'm curious. I'm going to tell you who I think your man, like out of every celebrity, I feel like you would have this man crush.
Well, I got two that I.
Okay, I want to hear yours, but I don't know why I think this guy, but I'm ready to hear yours as I interrupt.
Are you going to say who you think?
I'm going to, no, because you might change it.
No, I got two, and I'm not going to change it.
Just tell me who you'd like to sleep with. That's a man.
Okay, so we went from like who you like to be an artist, like if you could be a singer, who you would be, to who you'd want to sleep with as a singer. That was a big leap.
Okay, you don't have to necessarily sleep with him.
Thank you. Okay.
But if you were a female for one day.
That's a totally different question.
And you could potentially spoon this person. And it was a man, but you were a female for one day. What
star? If I could combine like sex appeal and music, in a genre that I am kind of rooted in, would be Dirks Friendly.
Oh, wow. I was thinking Matthew McConaughey.
He's not a country music singer.
I know, but I feel like you guys are kindred spirits.
Well, for sure him. And I would probably at least get the third base in that situation, which is not the point of not even the question. But yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't sing.
No, he doesn't sing.
He plays the bongos naked, he got arrested for, but he doesn't sing.
He could be a good spooner, though.
I believe he'd be a very sensitive lover.
I think so, too. Yeah. So do you have any musical talents? Do you play an instrument?
You know what?
Or?
I used to play a bit of guitar.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay. Years ago? Or
Years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what did you play most of when you played guitar? Was it mostly country?
Yes.
Or
Yes, followed by yes.
Yeah.
Except I could play the Top Gun theme song on guitar. That was my...
Wow, can you do that, T-Bone?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I feel like
I
you
can tell
guys...
he was pumping his fist.
Oh, we should have had guitars out here and you guys could have played the theme song.
I could play like 15 seconds of about 10 different songs if you wanted to hear them all together.
Most guys can play 15 seconds.
That's right. Well, here I am.
So speaking of 15 seconds, are you more of a giver or do you prefer to receive?
That I am gonna say giver. Not because this is being recorded, but I am gonna say giver.
I like it. I appreciate that. We all like a good giver, right?
Not quite sure where the topic has gone, but yeah.
Hey, we're gonna go into this next song. So I'm on it. Eric Church.
Eric Church, some of it is literally like gospel for my life, like a philosophy for life. The words in that song are, I just love every bit of it. And I've been Eric Church. I've been taking in like church daily, really for I don't know how many months now, and that's one song I've probably listened to, I don't know, 100 times.
Does it just get you through some, is that kind of your go-to song maybe if something's going on and you just want to...
It's not even to get you through, it's just, well, maybe you're right. Maybe it's calms me down and puts things in perspective as to what's kind of important.
Yeah.
And if you listen to some of the words, the idea that, some of it, the concept is you're going to learn through life. You're going to learn some things you're never going to have to know or use. You're going to learn some things maybe through a book, but most of it's going to come through experience and age.
Yeah. That's why I asked you that question, because sometimes it's those songs, and I've been there where you are for some reason you get addicted to a song that just kind of helps you get through whatever it is. It could be something you're going through in a week, and you just always want to listen to that song because it calms you, brings you back down where you can express yourself through the lyrics and how you're singing the song.
I would agree that is one of those songs that brings you back down to earth and puts into perspective what really matters.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you just if time and money were no issue in your entire life, what would your week look like? Ideal week. Don't have to worry about money. Have all the time in the world.
So if I'm sitting in the life that I have right now, what would my entire week look like?
Yeah, but you don't have to work. You didn't have to get up. Didn't have to go stress, do a info gather with the, iPad that didn't work.
Yeah, very little technology would be included in my ideal week. There would definitely be, now I'm talking about it, I'm like, man, that's a lot of alone time.
But that's okay, because this is your week.
Right. Camping and or dirt biking in the mountains.
Okay.
The landscaping and doing yard work. Dates with my daughters. We're going a few dates for sure. And experience with my boy. He gets really excited when he gets really engaged in something, which could be almost anything. You teach him how to hang glide or something like that, and he'd be all over it. Certainly no schoolwork in there, not for him. And then a hot and steamy date night with my wife.
Yeah.
Would be in the mix. Yeah, there'd be no travel, really, that would jump out at me. There'd be no cars that I'd want to drive, really, unless you count the 2015 Triumph Thruxton with custom pipes.
We're going to count that just because you
around town.
Kind of broke it down a little bit, so I feel like it might...
It might be something on the list,
yeah. Not a high priority part, but it sounds like you're more of a camper than a traveler. Do you like the mountains? Do you love being out hiking, being in nature?
I would say that I don't think I've had a lot of it lately, and that's probably why I would lean towards that. That bit of,
So what is your...
But I do love to travel. I love, only if I can travel for the experience of the culture.
I appreciate that.
Every once in a while you go to Mexico for a few days or a week or whatever, that's great. But traveling, to me, is you need to experience the culture, otherwise you're not really traveling, you're just vacationing. I
had to look at my husband because that is how I travel. I'm like, we need to go and experience stuff. I don't want to go to like, get them all the tours. I want to go like find somebody on the street that can just drive us around and find all these, whatever.
Yeah.
That's what I love. I love to do that.
One of my favorite trips was to Spain, and I spent a couple weeks there, more or less on my own, and it was exactly that, like from the architecture to the people to the food, to like, it was phenomenal. Yeah, bullfights. Crazy.
So I'm curious because now I know, I didn't know this about you, but now I know that you were, a camper and you like to be outdoors. So what is like your greatest MacGyver move that you've had to do and that you were just like, yes, I am MacGyver right now?
MacGyver's a high bar. That's a high bar. That guy was making bombs out of
like
sticky
tissue
gum
paper.
and tissue paper, that's right. Well, very recently we had, here's a great one, actually. It was a steam sauna. So we had camping in northern Canada, even in the summer, you could get snowed on, which is exactly what happened. So prior to this, seeing the snow come, we actually built a buddy of mine built just out of sticks and a tarp that he had in his truck, a bit of a closed-in steam room, tiny little steam room. You can fit a couple chairs in there and a bucket of water. We put all the rocks in the fireplace, heated them up red hot, rolled them in there, and then stripped down to our birthday suits, and sat in there on our lawn chairs and just dumped the water onto the rocks that we rolled in. And it was fantastic. And the rocks were still warm when we got out, which was good because my sleeping bag was feeble, and I'd roll all the rocks into the sleeping bag and it kept me warm until the morning when you wake up and you're hugging a cold boulder.
Yeah.
That'd be it. That'd be it.
That's a good MacGyver trick.
It was phenomenal. It was the best little, and then you get out and you're in the woods by yourself, we're buck naked, fire's going, and you're cooking hot and the snow's falling down because you just got out of your little steam shower, and it was a fun time.
So this is like a boys trip that you went on.
It was me and an old buddy of mine. We did many trips, just him and I. Sometimes we'd bring food, sometimes we wouldn't, sometimes we'd make our little steam.
So you would do good on that show where they just kind of drop you somewhere and they would make you naked and then you just kind of go and...
That is a show.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? They drop a guy and a gal and they just buck naked. I don't know if they have
I'm not really understanding.
I don't think they have to be naked part.
I don't really understand that part, but...
But yeah, you could drop me somewhere.
Maybe it's like a distraction. Right? And the guy starves in the woods because all he wants is a girl. And she's like, are you kidding me? We need a fucking fire. And I need a bra. I need to make a bra. And I need some panties. This guy's like, no, I just want to bang you. You starve over there and I'm going to figure this shit out.
I start a fire. I'm hot and I got wood. So this works out good. Yeah.
Next song.
That's the next song.
I can't tell you. I don't think I've ever heard this song before, but I absolutely saved it to... I have like my own little playlist that I'm doing now that I'm like stealing everybody's music.
Yeah.
I love it. So who was that?
Turnpike Troubadours. Good Lord, LORRIE. That goes to the, I'll say that goes to the romantic side in me, the old romantic. It's a great story about a guy trying to find love, basically. And Turnpike the band has been dismantled due to some addiction issues, I believe. But they are so talented. They have so much great stuff, and I find it's like a love song without the real mushy parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do want to kind of digest your relationship a little bit because I am going to have your wife on here hopefully next.
Okay.
Right? And then I think that you're going to be able to encourage her to do this faster. So here's kind of like my game plan for you can kind of let her know is you tell her that this was awesome. She had you had a great experience. They feed you good liquor. She's going to have a good time. And then after we're going to have you over for dinner and we're going to do a together one. So those ones are really, really fun. But I like to do the couples separate first.
Yeah.
And then bring them together.
All
So
right.
I'm going to ask you some relationship questions and 3 words to describe your wife.
Passionate, compelling, and impatient.
Okay. My next question was, what is one thing that she does that drives you absolutely crazy?
Accurate. There's at least 3 things that are pretty accurate. Now that you asked me to say that, I'm pretty proud of my response.
Yeah, she might not be as kind, but hey, we'll find out.
Not here right now.
What's one thing that she does that absolutely annoys you?
One?
Just one. Just one this week.
Sure. She'll ask me opinions or to make a decision, but it doesn't really matter. Most of my decisions get overturned. Like we're talking like probably high 80s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Which also includes return birthday presents, return Christmas presents. Unless it sparkles, it's probably going back. And that part, even if I put in like literally months of time and energy and research, I brought over a coffee machine from Europe, and she sold it on to Kijijis to some lucky person in Red Deer. It's just the way it goes. I just don't. But to her credit, she makes some pretty good decisions.
Yeah.
Right, when she gets rid of my opinion, my decision, she then comes through. So I'm okay with it. Yeah.
So how did you guys meet?
We met. She's just started in the business that we now run together. She just started on that on a part-time basis. Well, full-time. She was doing some part-time work as a waitress. I was in the oil patch doing sales. I brought a client into the restaurant, that which we later got married in, actually, and sat there with the client. Client went home, and she hit on me again.
Oh, she was the aggressor.
Guaranteed.
Because you were shy.
Exactly.
But good-looking and shy.
So I wanted the sure thing.
To,
I wasn't going to be the oil patch guy with an
passed
expense
you a bill.
account.
A bill's like a note.
And
Here's
hit
your
on
tab.
a waitress. It was like terribly cliche, and I didn't want to get shot down. So I sat there for an hour after my client left, and she was, bringing me a drink or two, and then I get up to leave, and I was literally going to leave because I had very little confidence in getting a positive response. Or some confidence, but it wasn't like high 90s, so therefore I wanted the note, and she did. She's like...
She gave you a bill.
She said to me, so you're going to get my number or what?
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, I think I got a chance.
Yeah, this
a
is
really
a
good
definite
chance
slam dunk.
So I got her number.
Okay, so you start dating.
Yep.
You go on your first date.
Yep.
How long before you have sex?
I kissed on the first date.
Okay, good.
And then it might have been the second or third date where she took advantage of me. Again, she's passionate, compelling, and impatient.
Yes.
And
you were going too slow.
She'll tell you the same thing.
Yeah, that's how Ty was.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I don't know what I got to do here.
I say it's pleasure delayer. Keeps him interested. Huh? Locks him in.
That's right. So do you like sex or sex with the lights on or off? On. Like it. It's awesome.
Yep.
So we already know that you're a giver.
Right.
Right? That's a good thing. And what would you say...
It's about music, right?
Yeah,
okay.
It totally is. Like, do you want to be a musician? This is what musicians do. They line up the groupies. They need to ask these types of questions. I'm getting you ready for the stage.
Perfect.
So what is one song that you can't stand the most? You're like, oh my God, please turn that song off. I never want to hear that song again.
Well, I have kids, so It's Raining Tacos is way up there.
Raining Tacos?
Have you ever heard that song?
No, I have not.
Lucky you. I'm not even in it. Now you even I said the words, and it's now burning deeper into my brain.
Well, let's get that out of your brain because we don't want that. And let's throw some really good The River, right? Takes a little bit to start for some reason.
Just to stay between the shores.
He does a pretty good job of Garth Brooks.
Yeah. Garth, we're gonna have you on the podcast and we're gonna discuss that.
So The River, amazing song, but my little girl, Everly, she's the little singer. She's really good. I'll just say that because I'm dad. She's wildly entertaining when she sings, and she loves that song. So that's her lullaby song.
Aww.
Yeah, every night I get to tuck her in. She always asks for a song, and she gets that or Amazing Grace.
So you're a good singer then?
I can I practice a lot in the shower, and I would say
Singing.
I can
You practice a lot of singing.
What
in
did
the
I say?
shower. You got to like narrow it down.
Right.
Right.
Sure.
What are you practicing in the shower? Singing.
Singing, right. And that's about as far as my my formal training has gone. So my wife typically cringes when I start singing.
Really?
Yeah, not the whole stuff. There's always moments in a song where she definitely cringes. So I know I need a lot of work. But,
So do you have a go-to song?
well, my 6-year-old doesn't complain. Therefore, she's the one that receives most of the singing.
Do you have a go-to song like that came on? You're like, I don't even care who's here. I am belting this song on. This is my song. I love this song. And I need the music really, really loud to sing to this song.
There's a couple songs that I really enjoy, like Dirt on My Boots. That's one. Get Along by Kenny. Can't remember his name now. Very popular guy with no shirt on. And Chesney, thank you. And Dirks Friendly. Now I'm drawing a blank on his song too.
So those are your go-to songs.
Burning
Yeah.
Man. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love that song. I've never heard it before.
Burning Man?
I've never heard it. We're
Did I put it on my list?
You did, and it's right
okay.
here. We have to play it because
Okay.
I've never heard it before, and I absolutely fell in love with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, it's so good.
So good. What a great song.
Yeah, that's my kind of pump me up.
Yeah. It's your go-to song.
Yeah, that's my, if I'm gonna walk on stage, that's my song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were an athlete for many, many years. Played hockey,
For
high
sure.
level.
Yeah.
What position did you play?
Defense.
Okay. Did you love it? What made you stop that career?
I loved aspects of it. I loathed other aspects of it. The politics and the coaching, it was hit and miss. Right? Some teams they would be strong on that front. Other teams simply weren't. Even at a high level, there's coaches that were really weak. We won a national championship one year, and one coach, amazing. In fact, he's coaching in the NHL today. And the other coach, the assistant coach, who typically is in charge of the defenseman, just a school teacher, rubbish as a hockey coach. Great guy, just didn't do any coaching, which is interesting at such a high level.
Yeah.
But that's the way it was, or it is. I don't know if it's still that way.
So what happened to get you out of that career? Because obviously you played very high level.
Yeah, there was a point in time where I stopped liking the sport when I was about 16, which is not good because it's going into my draft years.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit of the politics behind it. Again, there was another coach that you're very influential at that age, right? You just moved away from home. Like
Yeah.
I was 16 when I left home and to go play major junior, and there's certainly a few good guys in the team that I got along with really well, which really helps, especially for a young guy playing with a bunch of, doesn't seem so old now, but when you're 16 and you're playing with 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds,
Yeah.
that's such a big age gap that it's...
Well, they've been through so much more through that sport than you, and maybe have.
we just look up to them so much
Yeah.
that it doesn't take much for them to say or do something that can kind of crush a kid if he's more the quiet, shy type. Right?
Yeah.
And if the culture of the team isn't such that supports all the kids or communicates well, then that could be tough, right? But you do a lot of growing up. I'd never not do it that way. You grow up in a hurry, and then you realize at the end of the day, it's only up to the individual. Like, you have to come in with your own self-confidence. You can't look from outward sources to get it, because what if you don't get it? Now my career's shot because I didn't get the support or somebody build my confidence up. Yeah, when you're young, that's kind of the way it was. But as you're older, you're like, crap, I need to teach people to have that when they get in the game, right? Not get into the game so they can get built up.
Yeah.
So going into situations with the confidence, which you can take into business, you can take into relationships, you can take into when you want to hit on the waitress, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Certainly when you want to play high-level sports.
Yeah. What's the worst pain that you've ever felt in your entire life?
Can I play that card?
You can.
All right. Does the audience know that I just played a trump card that I can, my pass card?
That's right. You picked a pass card. That's crazy. Okay, so what's your, before Melissa, even though you were shy, you had to have some form of a pickup line. Like, were you just passing notes or getting your buddies to pass notes around, or?
Depends on what age you're talking about. Yeah, the note thing.
Did
worked
you have
really
a?
well.
Did
In
you
fact,
have a?
I wish they had the note thing today. Let's be honest. Tinder today is a note thing.
It really is.
It's a digital note saying, "I'm interested in you."
Yeah.
And
then we're
you're
swiping.
within my kilometer radius.
I'm wondering if you're free. Swipe.
It's the exact same thing, except for a larger audience. I only had 30 kids in my class, and
Wow, you might have had to make different decisions, right? Maybe they weren't always women.
Right.
30 people it's a tough go.
yeah. And then you have 30 in front of you and 30 behind you. Wasn't a big audience.
Big selection.
Small town.
That's right. I am so interested to hear what would be 2 of your biggest pet peeves.
I would say signal lights.
Oh.
Yeah.
So let's go over that a little bit. Do you like them, or you refuse to use them?
I don't like when people leave them on. That's all. Then I think that could be my mother, and she's so sweet. If somebody ever cuts you off, this eliminated my road rage. I just thought, well, that could be my mom, because she would do exactly what that person just did and be completely oblivious.
Yeah.
Right? Somebody sweet, or somebody in a rush, or somebody lost, or all 3 of those things, like my mother often is. Right? So that I don't get upset. But leaving the ticker on drives me a little bit crazy.
Just one pet peeve? Is there another one?
I've become very chill as time goes on.
Good.
Less things bug me, but if I could think of one more thing that bothers me, it's the victims.
Yeah.
In my line of work, we end up running across a lot of people that have a sad story that they're willing to share. And that's why they're not where they need to be.
Yes.
Or where they could be. And they are always the result of their environment versus a byproduct of their own internal perseverance, which I'd much prefer. But I'm just tired of hearing all those stories. When you look around, there's enough people to contradict your excuses.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. So I guess that would be
I like that one.
my larger pet.
And I love that you said that, because when I was going down this road to find out what I actually wanted to do to bring some joy into my life, I thought that I put an ad out on Kijiji and on Craigslist to saying, hey, if you got a story to share, I'd love for you to share that. And I got like a massive amount of responses. I really did. In a day, I got like 7 people. And then I talked to T-Bone, and he's like, babe, do you really want to listen to more victim stories? And I thought, no, I really don't.
I got like my blood pressure went up when you said, receiving some of those stories, and because everybody's got one.
Yeah, for sure, everybody's got one. It's crazy. Yeah, you're right. Everybody does have one. And yeah, I was so glad that I didn't go down that channel, for sure. But it's crazy that you said that, because everybody does have one, and it's how much do you want to stay in that one is.
And depending on your line of work, you might run across this more often than others, but I just find that there's a reason why people are where they're at. Because they keep on repeating the same patterns in their life. We're having the very similar relationships, very similar jobs, very similar income, very similar debt problems, and just repeats, because they don't figure out that they need to change.
Yeah.
Because they're looking outward for the solution versus
inward. That's right. So our next song, I think you actually love this guy. I think there's a little bit of a man crush on this guy, right? Tim McGraw. I'm going back. That one, there's going to be some dirty questions about.
This guy's got some great stuff. I had a hard time narrowing. There could have been like 5 different songs.
I feel like that's a relationship memory, though.
And it's not.
It's not.
No.
Okay.
It's more of a relatability thing. As in, I know how to hold a grudge, the opening line. Letting go of, past experiences. Right? Again, a bunch of life lessons in there. There's another line in there that talks about there's a diamond under all this rust, as in we all have flaws, we all have problems, and from the outward, viewpoint of most people, that we're regular average Joes, but everybody underneath them, they have this dynamic greatness. They have these certain characteristics or traits that they hold, which are powerful, that can have impact and can have influence if we give them light.
Yeah.
Right? If we give them time to develop, but most people A, aren't aware of them, or B, wouldn't give them the time or put themselves in an environment that would allow these things to actually shine through. And that's what that song is.
That's a good analogy. Wow.
Yeah.
You went pretty deep there.
Just now, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, I went through songs that popped into my head. And
I love it.
Those that had influence.
So I know that you want me to play this song, but you got to be prepared for the question after we play these songs.
We don't have to play the song.
Okay, The Doors. Like, this threw me off a little bit. I had you visioned in my mind, no shirt on, leather pants, and you were just like, you know, like it was out of control. I could barely control myself. Like, it was a lot for me.
Mojo Rising. The Doors were actually quite an influence for me during the time of, that Leonard Cohen song during that same kind of time. But that melody takes me to a memory. Okanagan summers. I spent out there at a hockey school, and we'd float down the canal there, and there was a guy that I knew well out there. He played that song while we floated down, and there'd be girls that would be floating past us, right? And you're in the, what were you, 17 years old, something like that, kind of the prime of your life. You're gonna live forever, completely invincible. The peak of my sexual confidence would probably been, right? Just because you don't know what you don't know yet at that stage. And there's a couple songs from The Doors that were really memorable during that time. That happens to be one of them.
Yeah.
And that's also the age where that gets a bit more serious. I mean, even the Touch Me, the name of the song, that becomes a real priority in your life at that age, right? Especially in the summertime. That was a primary driver. Wake up in the morning, right? Go to bed at night. Who likes me? Who looked at me? Is she cute? Type of thing, right?
That's very true.
Very true.
Very true. So again, bringing back the family kind of question, I'm curious on how you would describe, like, what animal would you describe your mother-in-law? What kind of animal would
smokes.
you be?
Can I get another drink?
Yes.
Is this?
Yes, absolutely. You can get another drink.
Now I know why you don't tell people the questions. They would never come over.
Absolutely. We would love to get you another drink. But this, like, you're allowed to be a little bit creative here.
What animal would I describe my mother-in-law to be?
Yeah.
Do you want some help here? Because we had one of our guests say he would describe his mother-in-law as a wombat. And he had no idea why. Just, wombat is very caring and motherly and looking after their family. So it doesn't have to be a negative thing. It can be a positive.
Well,
the first animal that pops into my head, and now that I'm thinking about it, there's probably a couple meanings here. But the first animal that pops in my head would be an octopus. So,
wow.
you want to hear more?
I would like to hear a little bit more.
Well, one, when they change colors, you can tell what kind of mood they're in.
It's like a mood ring.
And there's a couple particular, but I would say that why it jumped in my head instantly was the fact that she's always doing something. Like octopus, 8 arms kind of thing. She is busy, and if she's not busy, she needs to do something that makes her busy. If there's something if she's not stressed out, I think she'll find something and do something that'll stress her out.
Yeah.
It's almost like an addiction. And she does so much for the family. That lady, what she organizes and coordinates behind being a very successful businesswoman is fascinating. We'll be on a holiday, and one of the inevitable dinners that we will have, one of the conversations that will be dominating the conversation is, what are we going to do next year at this time? Like, she'll be planning the next year's trip, like 12 months in advance.
Wow.
Right? I don't even I don't even pack 12 hours in advance, right? And she's already got things laid out.
Yeah.
But as a result of that, our family's had amazing experiences.
Yeah.
So she's just busy. She's just busy.
So are you more spontaneous then? So you're not really a big planner?
I'm not really a big planner, but I don't like to do a lot. Is that? Like I'm kind of like I said before, if I go camping or I'm doing landscaping in my yard, like I can spend all day just kind of putzing around my yard, and I love that. Give me a bobcat, right?
Oh,
So
look
a
out.
little bit of land.
Holes are being dug.
Everywhere, absolutely.
Like
I
we need some work done on our. We just are building our fence right now. You need to come out there and push the fucking dirt that I just spilt there. Just push the dirt to fill the holes out there because it's like absolutely ridiculous. We're gonna have to go out there and shovel that shit in there, and I'm not really jacked about that. I'll be honest. That's not
Bobcat. Time
something that I'm
flies
excited
when
about.
you do stuff like when time goes by quick. That's when you know you're in the right spot.
I got aggressive about that
I did.
because
Got angry.
I don't know if you did this stuff by hand, but I don't want to do it anymore by hand.
Use a bobcat.
Yeah.
I've been there before. Where all of a sudden, like 4 hours disappears. I was like, that was 4 hours.
Yeah.
You just get a bobcat.
Not
You can't
good.
really think of anything. You can't think. That's the nice part. That's why like riding a bike. You can't
Not
think of
thinking.
anything but riding a bike. Riding a horse, you just got to, generally speaking, you got to focus on riding a horse, and that's it. Which forces you to shut off other areas
Yeah.
of your mind.
Especially when you're riding a horse.
Yeah.
I'm not a good rider. I'll be honest. On a horse, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go here. Right? Life's a dance.
Yeah.
By AKA.
John Michael Montgomery.
Yeah.
So I was a girl.
You were a girl?
That was a girl. It was when CMT became popular.
Oh,
Country
yes.
music television.
I love that.
And Faith Hill
This
and,
is just
and Shania Twain, Whose Bed Have Your Boots Been Under kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, this is better than the Sears catalog. That's what this is. And T-Bone knows what I'm talking about.
I had the Sears catalog.
So at that time, I was really into country music, and I just moved away from home. That was a new song that was on the radio, and I met a girl, and I think it was a grade 10 or 11 then, and that song just reminds me of that time. Yeah, and that's why when I was thinking of the list of songs that just popped in my head, and every time that song plays, it's a very clear picture. I remember I was building it out at a family's home, so I was in a stranger's home, living in their basement. Helen and Ken, and they had a daughter named Kellen, just to combine the names.
Weird.
Yeah, it worked. And I stayed at their home, and I remember listening to the radio, and this was how old am I? Listen to the radio. But I did mention we had TV and CMT, so that's good. But it was literally on the radio, and then I bought the CD. So that's how
Wow.
old I am. There was CDs,
There was?
cassettes. Then yeah,
What was your first cassette tape you ever bought?
I think it might have been Poison, Look What the Cat Did.
Yes.
Yeah,
I was gonna ask you. Don't have any like
probably tough.
80s hair band?
Bon Jovi, big fan.
Yeah. Okay.
Bon Jovi almost made the cut. I couldn't pick one song though, and the songs that I liked were probably a little bit older. Although Shot Through the Heart, Living on a Prayer, come on,
Yeah.
those are
Slippery when wet. It's crazy.
yeah. There's so as you make a list about songs that
Yeah.
impact you and influence you, it's like holy smokes, there's a soundtrack of my life, and there's a lot more to put on here.
Yeah.
Which
Did
is
you ever
really
have
cool.
long hair?
No.
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 Always short.
I was always this is probably as long as it's been.
So when you were starting to grow facial hair, like were you just kind of leaving patches on your face to show that you're older and really cool, or?
I never really grew much for facial hair other than in playoffs, which was a requirement. Otherwise,
Oh,
you would never win.
requirement.
Yeah, superstitions.
Yeah.
Not just superstitions, but
Oh, don't flip it back over. You've already played that
I
card.
played that card. Yeah.
No. So I've never heard this song before.
Yeah.
So I'm curious where this song came from. You want to share a little bit about who it is and
I don't even know who it is.
Oh.
But as a gift that I received from my wife, who wasn't my wife at the time, was a CD with a cover, which was a picture of a bunch of cows. We went mountain biking in the Rocky Mountains. On our way out there, we stayed at a little hotel like in Turner Valley, and they had a cattle drive that morning, like at 6 o'clock in the morning, right through the middle of town. We go driving out shortly thereafter to do some mountain biking. We crossed past the cows again, and they were everywhere on the road. So you got like literally swerving slowly between these cows, and took some pictures. And then for my birthday that year, that was the CD. I had a picture of these cows. It's amazing. And I put the CD in, didn't know what was going to be on the CD, and there was a song. And it was that song that you just played. However, the artist, which I didn't know until almost the end of the song, was actually Melissa.
Oh, no
She
way.
recorded a song for me, and it sounds so amazing. It sounds as good as the professional singer, but she threw my name in there at the end. I was like, wow, no one had ever, and it was amazing, period. Like, she did an amazing job, but I don't think anyone, this is why I knew she was going to be my wife, has ever put that much time and energy and effort into something for me as a gift. She's so thoughtful when it comes to gifts. That really was one of the things that really won me over when it comes to marrying somebody, being with someone for the rest of my life. It was like, wow, I've just never been this thoughtful. There's probably a few things I can learn from this person. That's what she recorded a song for me, and that was the song. And I
Could you imagine if you put that on Kijiji and like tried to sell it?
I put it. She's embarrassed as all hell, but I played it at our wedding.
Oh, nice.
For everybody, and she was not happy. So that was a rough start. First fight. It was like 3 hours old.
We just got married, and now you're playing this song.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Now I'm pissed at you. No,
I'm gonna go dance for 5 hours.
Sometimes I don't know if she's mad or embarrassed.
Probably just
she's got to be
embarrassed.
somewhat proud though. Like she's got to.
I listened to it. It's amazing.
I would be. Yeah. I'll give you her version. I don't know if I have it on my phone or not.
I would love it.
Yeah.
So you chose Amazing Grace, but you didn't choose an artist. So I kind of had a little bit of free reign.
Did you find Alan Jackson's version?
No.
Okay.
What I did find though is some Dropkick Murphys. I don't know if you've ever heard of Dropkick Murphys before, but they do more of a punk version of Amazing Grace, but still an amazing job. Right, still good. I find it a little bit more aggressive, but I like that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna send you home with that song, and then you get to listen to it.
Okay.
It's just a little bit more rock.
Sure.
So why do you love the song Amazing Grace? Like, why doesn't anybody love the song Amazing Grace? It's such a great song.
Higher power. Like
Yeah.
it just speaks to the fact that there is a higher power, and I think it's whatever you want to call it. It is just something greater at play, and to some degree, we're at the mercy of what it brings our way.
Yeah.
And it has some almost like stoic virtues in the song that kind of lay that out. And I think life is always better when you're able to let go. And you look at things like, even like, I think Alcoholics Anonymous, their 12-step program, the first thing is you need to let go. Like you're powerless, as in you need to
Let go, admit. Yeah.
to there's something greater at play here. You can't be in control of everything. And that's what that song tells people.
What song would you like to be played at your funeral?
Hell if I know. What song would be played at my funeral?
Have you ever thought about it?
Nope. I might need a day or two to answer before I can answer that one.
I created a playlist for songs to be played at a funeral, so
Yeah.
you can check it out.
Well, it's funny. You have another song in there by the Garth Brooks called "The Dance."
Yeah.
And the reason that song is on there is the first funeral I really remembered being a part of. I've attended funerals prior to that, but I was maybe too young to fully understand, or so far removed from the deceased that it didn't really resonate with me. But this was a teammate of mine, and his mother passed away, which is, he was my age, obviously, so his mother was my mother's age, very, very close. So that really resonated, and as a teammate, we spent the whole year together, so we know each other pretty well. And that was the first funeral I went to, and that was the song in which they played at the funeral. I very, very clearly remember, and it's obviously a beautiful song, but it's so clear in that moment when they played the song, because the song right before that, the start of the CD is not a slow song, and someone was at the front, closed it, hit play, and you got to go next to get to song number 9, I believe, on that disc. But they didn't do next, and the first song was like Papa Love Mama or whatever, really upbeat song. So we're just like, and then they start hitting the button, and I felt that was so sad in that moment that was kind of thrown out there, a lack of preparation on that. But anyway, that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is that when that song came on, it was just perfect. So that might be my funeral song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a couple questions before we get to your very last song. So I love to ask this question because I'm always interested to hear what people say. So if I was blind,
I'm nervous.
if I was blind and you had to describe the color yellow to me, how would you do that?
I would do 2 things. Take you outside, put your face towards the sun, and have you touch a flower. I'd say that's yellow.
Wow. That's creative. I like that.
How do you not be creative with a question like that?
You'd be amazed what people say. They're asking me more questions like, so how long have you been blind? Have you ever seen before?
Oh. So if you've seen yellow before,
I haven't though.
then I can just say,
I have to
it
like
looks like it did when you saw it before. That's a really easy way of going about it.
So last song, favorite band. I don't know if you've seen this guy, but you thought it wasn't on your playlist, but it is.
It was. Thanks.
Yes.
That's right.
Right? Bon Jovi, you give love a bad name.
Oh, that's when you started realizing I can be cool.
Yes.
Right? You're at that age like cool's a thing, and I can be it, and this song is gonna help me get there. Right? Up to that age, you're just like, I can just wear jogging pants and pick my nose and go build a fort in the backyard. None of that really matters. Then all of a sudden, puberty comes along. I'm assuming that was one of the turning points.
And you don't want to wear jogging pants when puberty hits.
Then it mattered. Even if it's 20 below, Mom, I can't wear a toque because it's going to mess my hair.
That's right.
So just let me go out the door. And she's trying to be a good wife because otherwise, if I have messy hair, it's not going to be as cool.
That's right.
So I have to listen to Bon Jovi and be cool, and not wear a toque and be cool and freeze. And I can't wear those jogging pants anymore. I know last year you bought me 4 new sets from the sand store. We had a sand store. You guys know what the sand store is?
Yes.
Yes. Right, really?
1,000%, yeah.
Yeah. So that was in the next town over. Went to the sand store. Yeah, a lot of those jogging pants never got worn again because I had to be cool.
Yeah.
And that was the start of it, really.
I love it.
Yeah. I get excited. I'm excited to think about how cool I was.
With the sand store jogging pants.
No, acid wash jeans. I switched it up.
Did you wear high tops?
Yep.
Yeah. Like the pumps?
Did
you have colored laces?
We weren't that well off
to
get pumps and colored laces. We just had the basics. I had the kangaroo with the zipper on the side.
Oh, nice. Like those? Those were good?
Yeah. Kind of cool. That's where I put my change. It's probably still there, actually.
One of my wishes is that not for like thousands and thousands and millions of dollars, but everything that I ever owned and gave away, I'd like back.
That's cool. Some stuff you don't want back, though.
No, but with where like the fashion is going and all this stuff. I'm like, oh my God, that belt is like $9,000 now, but we used to wear them around our, our pants and be really cool.
Are you gonna fit all the clothes that you gave her?
I don't know. I was 86 pounds. I'm a little shy of that weight.
86 pounds. I hope you're.
I was very, very, very skinny growing up. Probably until I was, 26, 27 years old. I probably hit 105.
Holy smokes.
I was very, very skinny.
Someone's got to give you a cheeseburger. That's crazy.
I know. I couldn't gain weight. And then all the sour cream caught up to me. Right?
Sour cream?
Yes. I put that shit on corn. It's so good. I can't help it. I don't know what's wrong with me. I need help.
That was a weird condiment to choose.
I know.
It wasn't like burgers or cookies or cake
No,
or anything
it's
like
like
that.
I put sour cream on everything.
Really?
Yeah. So last question. I love this question, but if you had a chance, and I want you to think of your kids, but if you had a chance, somebody was listening today that you could maybe inspire or, maybe give them some words of wisdom. If you go back in time and want to talk to yourself at maybe 20, 25, 30, what are some words of wisdom that you would give that person?
Depends how young I am. The younger I am, the advice would change. But the young version of me, I would tell them that you are enough. Go and show them. A little bit older, I would say they don't matter. Their opinions don't matter at all, ever. There's so many kids, even adults, and even us now to some degree, we're trying to impress people, just in general. Like social media, I don't want to say plague. No, I kind of do, because I did say plague, but I just feel like, I think for a lot of people, it's cancerous, right? It just perpetuates that problem for most. With that being said, there's tons of great content out there.
Yeah.
Curate your feeds to stuff where helps you learn or grow.
Yeah.
Not just entertain, because that stuff is, I think, super dangerous.
Yeah.
Right. Especially for kids that are younger too, or young adults.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for those great words of wisdom.
Well,
I hope you had a good time on Music Junkies today.
It was awesome. It was a pleasure. Yeah, thanks for inviting me over.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I appreciate you.
Yeah, it was a blast.
Hey Junkies, thanks for tuning in today. If you like the show, obviously like it, right? If you're on YouTube, subscribe. If you want to be a junkie and be a part of the show, I would love that. Reach out to me on Instagram under music.junkies. And let's have you on the show. I hope you have a great day.